Angela Buckley here, coming to you with another Mike Moment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and donate. Also, follow us on YouTube and other social media platforms. If you need a commercial, let me know. MVSU has a new head football coach, Terrell Buckley. After watching the interview with Scotty from Offscript on YouTube, we found that Coach Buckley goes by the nickname of T-Buck and that he has some major accolades. While at Florida State, he racked up on quite a few awards: the Jim Thorpe Award, Jack Tatum Award, unanimous All-American, second team All-American. All of this was in 1991 and 1990. In the school history, it says school all-time leader in interception with 21 and interception return yards 501. Let's get a little history on who Jim Thorpe was.
In 1950, sports writers from across the United States voted on who they thought was the greatest American athlete of the century. To be honest, after 5 decades of sporting greatness, they had a galaxy of sports stars to choose from, but one shone brightest: the incomparable Jim Thorpe. Football, baseball, basketball player, and the first Native American to achieve Olympic gold glory. Thorpe was a member of the Sac and Fox Nation and was born on Indian Territory in present-day Oklahoma in 1888. His native name, Watho Huck, meant bright path, hinting at great things to come. And at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, the young Thorpe stood head and shoulders above his peers, breaking the high jump record at the first attempt, sweeping the judges off their feet in competitive ballroom, and leading the school's football team to the National Collegiate Championship. Pop Warner, a coach at Carlisle, knew a world beater when he saw one. And in 1912, at the Stockholm Olympics in Sweden, 24-year-old Thorpe competed for the United States in the pentathlon and decathlon, the toughest individual sports of all, involving multiple track and field events over several punishing days. Despite wearing mismatched footwear after a rival stole his sneakers, he won gold in both and received a hero's welcome back home, going on to become the only man to play pro baseball with the New York Giants, pro basketball with the world-famous Indians, and pro football, winning the 1919 championship with a stunning 95-yard punt. So why did it take almost a century for Thorpe to feature on a Wheaties box? It could be because 2 months after the Olympics, he was stripped of his medals for breaking the competition's strict amateur rules by making money from minor league baseball, medals that were never given back. It could be that Thorpe shied away from publicity, a Native American who didn't want to be gazed upon as a curiosity, or that America simply wasn't ready to accept the Native American as an all-time great. After all, in 1951, Hollywood made a movie about Thorpe's life, but cast a white actor in the lead role. Thorpe died penniless in 1953, but his story lives on, the story of an all-round, all-American athlete, and truly, one of a kind.
Jim Thorpe was a colossal figure in American athletics and a fascinating figure in American history. He was perhaps the greatest athlete in this country's history. He was not only an Olympic gold medalist in the decathlon, but also a brilliant All-American football player at the Carlisle Indian School and the first president and the greatest player in the incipient National Football League, as well as a Major League Baseball player. No other athlete in American history has done that trifecta. He was also, very importantly, a Sac and Fox Indian, a Native American, whose life story from 1887 to 1953 when he died is really the story of the experience of Native Americans in this country, for all of its difficulties. He's also, in some respects, a tragic figure in that he was unduly shorn of his Olympic medals after it was reported that he had competed in Bush League baseball before he won his Olympic medals. And so many important white figures in his life betrayed him to save their own reputations during that cause. So the story of Jim Thorpe is both a story of great triumph in athletics and one of the difficulties and struggles of Native Americans in this country.
Again, Terrell Buckley walked away with the Jim Thorpe Award along with Coach Prime when they were at Florida State. We also know that Coach Prime had a legitimate reason to be upset when Travis Hunter was robbed of the opportunity to receive the award. He went as far as to volunteer to give his Jim Thorpe Award to Travis Hunter. Moving right along, keeping everything in perspective, let's talk about the next award Buckley received, the Jack Tatum Trophy.
You can get a receiver thinking about you, but then he can't be concentrating on you and the ball at the same time.
Jack Tatum, born November 18, 1948 in Cherryville, North Carolina. His university was Ohio State. He went there from 1968 until 1970. Jack Tatum was one of the hardest hitting and most devastating tacklers in college football history. He came to Ohio State as a running back, but was shifted to defense before his first varsity season. Officially, Tatum was a safety who played as a rover. He was most often found on the wide side of the field. His very presence forced offenses to run into the short side of the field. Tatum could also be found as a coverage corner or as a run supporting linebacker. In 1968, he was part of a group of Buckeyes known as the Super Softs, one of 11 sophomores who became starters. That year, OSU went undefeated, winning the Rose Bowl and earning the national championship. The following year, OSU won a Big Ten co-championship as the Buckeye win streak reached 22 games. Tatum placed 9th in the Heisman voting and was a consensus All-American. In his senior year, Tatum was part of a third Big Ten title team that went through the regular season undefeated, earning another Rose Bowl trip. In 1970, he was a unanimous All-American pick and placed 7th in the Heisman vote. He was drafted by the Oakland Raiders, where he played for 9 seasons. He was a 3-time Pro Bowl selection and was a member of the 1976 World Championships. Was John Madden the best NFL coach of his era? I guess it just depends on who you ask. Take a listen to this. Madden said they always tried to play within the rules, but they would stretch them just a little. In order to paint a picture of how important the award is, we have to tell you about Madden, who was in good Hall of Fame company surrounded by Mississippians and many others. Now listen, Tatum was so loved by Madden that Madden explained to David Letterman why he was willing to take an additional 15-yard penalty for Tatum.
Here's John Madden being nice to an NFL official. And do you remember the circumstance there?
I remember once, this could be the time, it wasn't, but up in Denver, we were playing in Denver once, and the only 15-yard penalty I ever had in my life in a regular season game. And what happened was Jack Tatum hit a guy on the sidelines in bounds and knocked him out of bounds, and the referee throws a flag. So I say, you know, that's wrong. I mean, he hit him, it's not a penalty. You know, and then I added a few bleeps. So
well,
the official,
what were the bleeps? Give us an indication of how severe the bleeps might have been.
Severe bleeps. I mean, when you talk about bleeps, we're talking about good, strong bleeps. We're not talking about the type you talk about.
But things have loosened up since then. Is there a chance that you could?
No, it's still too strong,
still
even
too strong.
under
Okay.
a loosened up type of deal.
All right.
So anyway, so the official goes and they mark off the 15 yards against us. So then he comes back and said, who did you call a bleep? Mm-hmm. So I'm still mad. So I said, look, there's only one bleep here, and that's you bleep.
Yeah.
So now he throws the flag on me because I told the truth. I could have said, my equipment man did it. No. So now they go, and they march another 15 yards off us. So, you know, we finally calm down, get the things straightened out. The next pass, Greg Morton goes back to pass. Phil Villapiano, my linebacker, intercepts it, runs it back to the 50. We get the ball. Kenny Stabler, our quarterback, goes in, throws a touchdown pass in the first play to Dave Casper. So now we're lining up for the next kickoff, and that same official is on the sideline there, and I walk up to him and I says, that proves you're a bleep. And he didn't give me another time.
They played clean football. They played fierce football. This was the most physical football team I have ever seen. Yeah. John Madden and this group invented what I call Raiders mystique because they had it.
It was all about intimidation football, Skip.
Okay.
It was just kind of a feeling that once you became a Raider, you were going to go out and you were going to destroy people, you were going to hit them, you were going to intimidate them.
there wasn't a lot of late hits and stuff. I mean, I didn't teach that stuff. I just taught him to play hard.
The fiercest hitter at safety ever. And Jack Tatum, aforementioned by me, fiercest hitter in the game.
They call him the assassin.
Yep, the assassin.
This Jack Tatum award packs a powerful punch to the point that if you receive this award, there's a reason why. At the funeral of Jack Tatum, John Madden made it his business to let a reporter know that Tatum's reaction to Stingley's injury was that it ate at him his whole life. And that although people referred to him as the assassin, he never wanted to be called that. The hard-hitting Jack Tatum would forever be attached to Terrell Stingley until the day he left this earth. In an interview with HBO, Tatum did explain the importance and the mindset that he was in when that accident happened.
People say you never apologize for what you did. I will never apologize for the way I played the game.
Chris, you recently spoke with Jack Tatum.
Yeah, and the hit that you mentioned left Terrell Stingley paralyzed, and he's been in a wheelchair since. Tatum himself is now handicapped too. He recently had his left leg amputated from the knee down because of complications with diabetes. So even though he still defends his hard-hitting style, Tatum now has at least some sense of what it's been like for the man he hasn't spoken to since their collision.
How tough was it to come to grips with, your partial disability, being a great athlete, an elite athlete at every level? Mm-hmm. How difficult was that mentally?
Chris, it was fairly difficult at first. And I think, I went through a little depression and everything right at the beginning. The important thing now is for me to be around for my kids and to be there for them. And I think, the amputation is just something I'm going to have to work through. It's just another point I'm going to have to work through. But as long as I'm there and can be there for my family, then I'm going to be fine.
Jack Tatum was more than fine as a football player, an All-American defensive back out of Ohio State. He learned how to hit from legendary coach Woody Hayes, and he spent the 70s leaving bodies strewn across NFL fields.
And White makes the catch. He is clean, but holds on to the football, losing the helmet. Chin strap flying one way, helmet the other. Holy Toledo.
Now, when you stepped on the field, when they turned the lights on, what was your attitude?
Once I put the uniform on, I was a totally different person. It was all business. And every time I took the field, I was going to play exactly the same. I was going to play a tough, aggressive game. And it was going to be, no quarters asked, no quarters given.
For 8 years, Jack Tatum gave no quarters. A 3-time All-Pro for the Raiders. He was the most feared defensive back in football. Then everything changed in a preseason game against New England in 1978.
Grogan will put it in the air. Oh! The intended receiver is Terrell Stingley. The man he ran into is Jack Tatum.
Jack, let me take you back to August 12, 1978. Take you back to that play.
Right.
Describe what happened.
I was reading the quarterback, and he took like a 2 or 3 step drop, and he raised up to throw the ball. And from his, from the quarterback's action, I knew that he was going to throw the slant. When Stingley extended, he was off the ground, and he was kind of suspended in the air. And I just hit him with his shoulder, and I thought it was an average hit.
What was your thought process then?
Well, at that time, some of his teammates came around, and they were attending to Darryl. And I actually walked away because I don't like to look at that kind of stuff.
And although he said he didn't like to look at that type of stuff, he did make an attempt to speak to Darryl at the hospital, according to the interview.
You made an effort to go to the hospital.
Well, I went to the hospital, and I wasn't able to get up to see Darryl. But one of the doctors told me that the only people they were going to let up that night was family, when the family got in.
Right. Who'd you go to the hospital with?
I went to the hospital by myself.
Tatum didn't get to see Stingley that night, or any other night for the last 25 years. To this day, Jack Tatum has never spoken to Terrell Stingley.
A lot of people say in this case, from a human standpoint, you not reaching out to him, that's where you failed.
No. I have to take exceptions to that because we tried for 3 or 4 times to reach out to contact Stingley, but every time we were shut down by people around Darryl, his attorneys and, you know, different people, and we were never able to talk to Darryl. And at some point I just said, well, I can't beat my head against the wall forever. And I just let it go.
You still think about the hit today?
Sure. You think about things you could have did differently or how you could have approached the hit differently. And
so as long as you live, you think that the memory of that hit will be in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, you hate to see anybody injured, and especially when you have a hand in it, then it's gonna be on your mind.
Your current situation as far as your health.
Mm-hmm.
You said earlier that it changed your thought a little bit. Has it changed your thought and how you look at Darryl's condition?
No, not really, because in order to change my thought, I'd have to go back and change my thinking on the way I play football, and I said that's never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. If Darryl was sitting here, what would you tell him?
Oh, you know, he was sitting here telling you I'm sorry he got hurt and all of that, but it wasn't anything personal. It was just a game.
Are you sorry of the result?
Oh, you're definitely sorry of the results. And I've said that, you know, many times.
Now, Darryl Stingley gave an interview to ABC, and listen to what he has to say.
You suffered the accident. Are you really bitter about Tatum? Do you think about him often?
No, I don't think about Jack that much. We as players, you know, we all assume the risk once we go out on the football field, and we know the dangers of what can take place and what happens. You know, I was just the victim of what you might call a real, you know, hard blow delivered by one of the most hardest hitting players in the game today. But what I was sort of bitter about is the fact that, you know, there is excessive violence in the game of football today. In other words, you know, not to really pick at the officiating and what goes on, but, you know, sometimes guys are out there stretching the rules as far as they can go and seeing just how much they can get away with, you know, with the intimidating factor, so to say. So, you know, you can't really hold that much against a guy that goes out, you know, to do his job, but the only thing that you can hold against him is, you know, his character and what type of person that he is and what his intentions are when he goes out to hit you and make a tackle.
Finally, Jack Tatum has said that he tried to reach you through your teammates, through the Patriots, through your attorney. Do you have any knowledge of such efforts on his part?
The only thing I know about that, Howard, is they tried to reach my attorney once back in February. I believe it was February of this year. And they never returned the call, or they never tried to make contact any time after that.
Are you satisfied with Mr. Bill Sullivan's treatment of you, the president of the Patriots?
Oh, yeah.
Now, what some may not know is that Bill Sullivan went on to extend a lifetime offer to Stingley with the Patriots. By Stingley's own admission, there is a risk that one takes whenever they decide that they want to play that gridiron action. Which brings us right back to the Jack Tatum Award. Terrell Buckley deserved that honor.
Playing his first game, their number 1 draft pick, Terrell Buckley. Don't tell me. This reminds me of Jim Thorpe. He's going to return it for a touchdown. Early in the fourth quarter, 58 yards. Yeah, I did it. Look, it's me. It's me. My first me. But the Rams lead at 7-0 early. The pitch to David Lang. And he just turns the corner, and he just could go all the way. But Terrell Buckley, with an Olympian effort, knocks it out of bounds. He plays 14-10 pack.
First, a great over-the-shoulder catch by Buckley. Then he looks back to the inside of the field, makes a nice cut there, and then starts to pick up the pack blocking that eventually gets him into the end zone.
That's Terrell Buckley.
To the left, this is the guy you got to worry about. Here is Eric Kramer back to throw, and he's looking towards Halleck. Now has to come the other way. Over the middle, Buckley intercepts. in the end zone. Leroy was there, but it was Terrell Buckley who came inside of him and made a great interception in the end zone for the Packers.
I'll tell you, Buckley showed some great speed there, Jim. He overtook the ball after it was in the air, and that was a big interception.
And that will stop the drive for the Detroit Lions on a big defensive play by the Packers. We'll take a break. Back after this.
Play action and a lot of time for Cunningham. And Buckley with a fine play on the pass intended for Calvin Williams. And Terrell Buckley couldn't have played that any better. And going deep into the end zone, and the pass is intercepted. An interception back there. Terrell Buckley, who has made two scintillating defensive plays on this series, and that snuffs out an Eagle bid. If scintillating is good, then Buckley just did it.
T-Buck is very impressive on the field.
The reason they cut Jack Del Rio late in the fourth. Bledsoe to the end zone. And Terrell Buckley has his, well, again, Johnny on the spot. The ball bouncing the way for Jimmy Johnson. Off to a rocky start. But against Miami, they've traditionally done well against the Dolphins, but not here. Neil O'Donnell, more of the same. Picked off by Terrell Buckley, a 26-yard return. And the Dolphins figured they were in for a laugher. For 2 minutes to go, down by a touch. Kelly, that old magic. It's Andre Reed. Beats the defender, makes the move, and he's gone, except for the speed of Terrell Buckley. Remember that play?
These are not Coach Buckley's only awards that you see right here on the screen. This phenomenal Mississippi native was honored at the Cotton Bowl Hall of Fame.
First of all, I want to thank the committee, Cotton Bowl Committee, for this prestigious honor and welcome me to the elite club, and also the other inductees. Thank you guys, much deserved, much deserved. You know, 92 when we came here, I had two legendary coaches with me, Coach Bobby Bowden and Coach Mickey Andrews. And what they told us to do is go out and compete and play hard and leave it on the field. And that's exactly what I did. Following the instructions of two great men, two great leaders, for young folks, would get you in a place like this. So I'm forever grateful for the coaches, for my former teammates, for allowing me to be in a position like this. And what I try to do as a coach now is pass that along. Be committed to what you're doing, really love what you're doing, and respect the authority, respect the people that have been there before you. Again, thank you guys for coming out, supporting us. Thank the Cotton Bowl again. Thank the inductees. Forever grateful. Thank you.
For the sake of time, we will encourage you to go and look up the resume of Terrell Buckley. But in the meantime, take a look at this. MVSU press conference turned into a celebration as they welcome the newly hired football coach, Terrell Buckley.
We're not going to complain. We're not going to complain. We're going to take action. Action. All right. And if you do complain, the transfer portal works two ways.
Mr. Breeze, how you feel about this new hire?
Oh, it's absolutely great. It's great. It's going to be a really good year for us. Looking forward to it.
So a lot of people been talking about NFL coaches. You got you one.
You got one, and we're going to be successful with it.
Thank you.
He's a great man, as you heard.
Absolutely. He sounds like he's going to blend right on in with this Valley family. He's bringing his own son to matriculate at Mississippi Valley State University. So that's always good when you can bring another student to the population.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Good talking with you.
About Deion Sanders, but we do know that right here in the state of Mississippi, he reached back and he was able to get some of our SWAC coaches and take with him. One in particular is Coach Vincent Dancy. Yes. And Dancy had someone under his administration who I consider to be the recruitment's secret weapon. And I was wondering, would you be willing to consider Javier Gonzalez to be on your team, to be one of those recruitment people as a part of one of the...
We consider everybody. I'm not holding anybody that can help the team win. In this business, when you become a new coach and it happens so fast like this, we put together your staff of guys you can trust that you know.
Yes. First and foremost.
You have guys. Then eventually you start the franchise and you get to know other people. But you're not opposed to anybody that can help us win.
But I believe if Deion Sanders had not grabbed Vincent Dancy, we wouldn't know about the winning strategies that he brought and what was he, an analyst? Yes, the analytics, yes, that he brought with him because he had an eye for success and he could pull out the weaknesses. And this guy served right along with Vincent Dancy.
That's what D, I call him D. That's what D does, and that's what we all supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
How you show love, how you show your concern is giving back.
Yes.
Reaching down and bringing up some other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's being humble, that's being respectful, and that's trying to create a legacy of this is what he's supposed to look up to, and this is what happens when I get in this position. I'm going to have it. Okay.
We enjoyed watching the band jam out. Let's hear from the band director, Dr. Bonds.
Dr. Bonds, how you going to feel playing next to him now that he's the head football coach?
Hey, we're excited. We're going to hit that get butt, get butt, get butt, get butt, get butt. That's what's up.
Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and donate to the Mike Magazine. Angela Buckley here, the voice behind the mic.